Good morning. We're going to give this another minute to let some people come into the room. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, where you're from, and we'll get started here in just a minute. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen. All right, good morning. My name is Dominique Sanheinrich, and I am the Director of Student Financial Services at Washington University at the Brown School. So I want to welcome everyone to this webinar, Funding Your Graduate Degree at the Brown School. So we are super excited about Admitted Students Weekend, and we cannot wait to talk more and hopefully get to see some of you in person tomorrow. So to get through some housekeeping notes, today's webinar is going to be recorded. There is closed captioning, so closed captions are enabled and can be activated at any time. And in a Zoom webinar, specifically this one, we can't see or hear the audience at all, and we cannot tell or cannot call on raised hands. So we encourage you to use that Q&A. So if you have any additional questions, again, use the Q&A feature, not on the chat, to submit questions during today's conversation. So I know things will come up. You may have additional questions. I have some colleagues who will be answering those while I go through the webinar. And again, some questions will be answered within the Q&A window by admissions staff, and some will be selected to be answered live on this panel, okay? And if we do not have a chance to answer your question, please reach out via email to admissions. I'll have my department's contact information and my personal information. You can go ahead and reach out. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Today's topic, again, is funding your degree. And so, again, please keep questions on topic, and I will keep things more general in nature as well as you will. All right. So, at the Brown School, again, I'm the Director of Student Financial Service, and my department generally can assist with just financial aid. So your financial aid encompasses your institutional scholarship, external scholarship, federal loans, and if you're eligible, federal work study. And then we have questions a lot about how do I accept these? And all that can be found in two of our systems. One is called WebStack, which is your student record, and the other is called NetPartner, which is your aid record. That will be your system of record for all funding to support your program. We can also assist with just understanding federal student loan, the borrowing process. I know a lot of students have questions, especially this particular year, with all the delays that are in place with federal student aid and Department of Education. So we can assist you with that borrowing process and just provide you with additional information around origination fees and around interest rates, and just basically how to complete that process. And then we can also help with financial planning, figuring out what your budget's going to look like. Maybe you receive a refund or you get some additional support. How do you budget that for your entire program? We are here to assist you with that. And then any kind of external scholarship, we want to provide you with some search engines. We have collaborated with several departments at the university to provide some additional external scholarship opportunities. So we want to help you with that search, guide you, make sure you understand the process, and then make sure you understand some of those deadlines as well. And then your living expense refunds. We are the department that approves those. Again, it'll vary for each student, but we do assist students in getting that refund to your personal bank account. And so we help with that process in direct depositing, and then maybe help you budget what you get from that refund. And then lastly, tuition payment process. What does that look like? Due dates, late fees, holds, things that you can visually see on your account. We assist students in understanding those processes and then get you connected with student accounting as well for your payments. There are definitely various ways you can pay on your account, and we are here to assist you with that. So there are two university financial supports that we collaborate with. We have the Central Fiscal Unit of Student Financial Services, and they work with the entire university. They process those external scholarships that come in. They can certify private loans. So for our international students, if you decide to take a private loan, they certify those loans. They are located in the Welcome Center that is right across the street from actually the Brown School. So there's easy access to that department and those that work in there. And then also there's student accounting. Now they are primarily remote, but they also service the entire university, which means they are going to service undergrad and grad. And then they assist with payment options and payment plans. They will approve those. They send out billing statements each month. And those billing statements, again, they come out once a month. So once you receive that billing statement, it is what your account looks like at that moment. So adjustments can be made beyond the actual statement. So if there's questions about those statements, we are here to assist, and so is student accounting. And they are located, again, on North Campus, but they're primarily remote. Then they also assist with student refunds, direct deposit setup. They connect with us about accounting holds. And then if you have any late fee questions, they can help with that as well. And then there's their contact information. If you need to speak with them early to get something set up or to look at direct deposit, they are the ones that can definitely help you. And then you can always reach out to us as well. We can get you connected. All right, so for this academic year for our tuition and fees, this is definitely posted on our website, and there's a breakdown as well for cost of attendance. But to focus on our tuition and fees, this is for one academic year. Then as you can see in parentheses, we have it per semester. So our Master of Social Work and Social Policy are $48,010. And again, per semester is $24,005. Our public health tuition, $42,640, and then per semester is going to be that $21,320. Again, this is your tuition only, and that'll be what you are charged both fall and spring. And then some fees as a student, as a full-time student, students are assessed for the health and wellness fee. That is divided up in each semester for $323 per semester. Then we have our student activity fee. Now that student activity fee is a Brown School fee, and it goes to support any type of Brown School assemblies, things we have on campus for students, maybe even to get speakers to campus or to provide any kind of food and other accommodations. And let me go back to the health and wellness fee. That fee is a university fee, so every student is assessed that fee who is full-time. And again, that fee, that goes to provide any kind of programming across campus. So I know we have several seminars, webinars, people that come to campus, events focused around health and wellness. That particularly goes towards funding those programs. And then you have your health and wellness fee, or excuse me, your student health insurance fee. That insurance fee is only charged in the fall of each academic year and not charged in the spring. And it does increase generally every summer. So right now we're sitting at $2,500. However, that may be increased in the summer for the next academic year. So definitely keep an eye on that increase. And again, this covers you for the entire academic year. And if you are under maybe your parents' health insurance, you do have the option to opt out of that, which means that the charge will be reversed on your account. And so you can always connect with our health center, our Habit Health Center, and to see if you and your insurance are eligible for that waiver. And if you have questions about that waiver process, we are here to help with that as well. And like I was telling you, this is just your tuition and fees. You want to always consider your cost of attendance. So that's that additional amount for living. So really think about, what does it take to pay your rent or mortgage, utilities, all of your living expenses. Be mindful of any kind of medications you take, transportation, gas, things of those nature. All that is considered part of your cost of attendance. So you have your tuition and fees, and then you also have that additional estimated amount from the Brown School, of what it takes to live here in the St. Louis Metro East area in order to cover all of your living expenses while you're in the program. Okay, so a lot of students want to know, how can I finance my graduate degree? So we use a combination of resources that we encourage students to really delve into. Of course, you have your institutional scholarship and maybe even some external funding or additional support from a scholarship. You have your employee or employer assistance. So if you're working and they provide that type of assistance. And then there's a 529 plan that a lot of students do utilize, that their family has set up for them along the way. Again, personal savings. We do have payment plans for students. Again, those are generally 5 months payment plans that are set up to pay the entire amount for that semester. So that can be set up with student accounting, or we can provide you those instructions. With a payment plan, please be mindful that there is a $40 setup fee for that. And again, you are assessed for 5 months in order to pay your due balance in full. And then there's federal work study. And students who are eligible for federal work study can look for federal work study positions on campus. Students who are eligible for federal work study generally have their 24-25 FAFSA in. And then their SAI, so they're a student account index, formerly known as EFC. That will determine if it is 2,000 or less, you are eligible for federal work study, and we will package you for that. Okay. And then there's also part-time employment on campus. So you can connect with our Career Engagement Center. They will direct you to a system called Handshake, and there are tons of open positions, whether it's at the Brown School or at Wash U. It could be in a bookstore. It could be just in food service. There are several opportunities for students to gain part-time employment on campus. And again, we talked about there are federal loan options if you complete your application, your annual FAFSA. And then there's private loans, which we understand that some students may have maxed out on federal loans and need to take out private loans. Some of our international students who are not eligible for federal loans have the option to take out private loans. For both loans, we always want that to be your last resort, but we are here to talk about what that looks like, what that process entails, and how we can get that applied to your account. So financial aid at the Brown School. So Brown School scholarships, the amount that generally all of our students are awarded, again, that is that partial tuition scholarship. It is awarded by admission at the time of admission. So that process looks like the admissions and recruitment department will send out your admissions letter. They inform you of what your scholarship looks like, and then it's sent over to my department, and we divvy that up evenly and apply that across your entire program. So our scholarships are awarded based on application materials and interviews, and it is assessed for both merit and need. So as a reminder, your loans, federal loans, are not assessed for need. Your need and your merit will be assessed through your institutional scholarship. And then again, I allocate it evenly across your entire program, and that's where my department comes in. And then as a reminder, all scholarship amounts are final. So definitely talk with your admissions specialist if you have questions about your scholarship. And then talk with us about how that's applied and what that looks like and how we can budget that in for you. And then financial aid. So again, this is going to be on the external side. So non-Brown School scholarships. Again, a lot of scholarships have their own process. You want to do a really good online search and application, figure out what is required of that of that application or that process. It could be essays, it could be interviews, you may need reference letters. So be sure that you're paying attention to deadlines and eligibility as well. Generally, a lot of external scholarships open up in December. And then they are applied in the following or upcoming academic year. So be mindful of that for the next year. So for your second year or even third year here at the Brown School, we encourage you to start looking at those external scholarships in December. Get yourself prepared for that. If you need any additional information that goes along with the application process, we are here to write letters, to maybe provide a list of what you already are getting, like your aid. So just let us know how we can help you complete that process for those external supports. And then again, your external awards can be used in addition to what you've already been awarded here at the Brown School. And so if any of you have been awarded external scholarships, let us know. We'll go ahead and add that to your budget, so you can still kind of look at what that looks like with that additional funding added. And then some of those sources could be professional organizations, community organizations, cultural, faith, heritage organizations, excuse me. Maybe even employers, and then again, social organizations as well. So we really encourage students to look into those external scholarships, because that additional support to cover your program will always be very helpful along the way. And then it can also lower any of your federal loans that you may borrow. So again, if you are awarded maybe later into the semester and you've taken out federal loans, we can assist you in sending some of that loan money back and put into place your external scholarship. So for those of you who are eligible for federal loans, at the graduate level, we utilize the Federal Direct Unsubsidized Loan and the Graduate Plus Loan. Now, your unsubsidized loans, those two loans are the ones that are assessed for interest immediately. That is what unsubsidized means. So when you're utilizing unsubsidized loans, the moment the loan disperses, the interest starts to kick in, okay? So the difference between the two is the Graduate Plus loan, that is a credit-based loan. So students can be denied that loan by federal student aid. And generally, when students are denied, they either have maybe some bankruptcy or on their account, or maybe some outstanding credit, that they don't have any more room to take out loans. It's very rare that students are denied, but it definitely does come up. And so what we use is we always start with the federal direct unsubsidized loan, which is a max of $20,500 per academic year. We start with that loan, and then if you have additional fees, that is when the direct loan, we package you with that Graduate Plus loan. Again, the Graduate Plus loan is a credit-based loan. It does have higher interest rates and higher origination fees. And again, those origination fees, that is the fee that your loan servicer takes out before you are provided with the funding, okay? And so again, your loan server will take out that processing fee, that origination fee, and then you will be provided with the additional funding from the loan. So again, those are the two federal loans that we use. Every student who is eligible will be packaged for both loans, and then students have the opportunity to decrease any portions of the loan that they do not wish to borrow. And we always encourage students to start giving back loan, starting with that Graduate Plus loan first, okay? And then there's private loans. Again, last resort for private loans. Students utilize this when they're not eligible for federal loans, and usually our international students who may need some additional funding use private loans. Again, these are going to be banks and credit unions and other private lenders. Again, should only be utilized if federal loans are not an option. Private loans don't normally have a lot of repayment options, and their interest rates seem to be extremely high in comparison to federal direct loans. So definitely be mindful of the type of loan. If you have questions about that loan, any of the loans, feel free to talk with us. We can process that with you to see what would be the best fit for you in your financial future. All right, so there's on-campus employment. Again, we talked a little bit about federal work study. Again, that will be you're eligible if your student aid index on your FAFSA that's generated is 2,000 or less, and we will automatically package you with that federal work study. If that is something that you do not wish to utilize, you can decline that as well. I encourage all students, even if you don't plan to borrow, to go ahead and get your annual FAFSA in, just in case you need that throughout the semester. And then this year we have increased our federal work study amount. So students can be awarded 3,000, which 1,500 per semester. And again, a portion of that will come from your employer. And then the other portion comes from your federal work study. So wherever you get your federal work study position, you will work with that manager to ensure that you do not go over your federal work study amounts. And then on-campus employment, definitely engage with our Center for Career Engagement. They host several job fairs all over campus and throughout the academic year. Sometimes they host specifically research positions or research fairs. Again, part-time and federal work study positions are available at the Brown School specifically, but we always want people to go out and explore and find positions on the campus in general as well. We encourage students not to work more than 20 hours because it's such a rigorous program. And then again, Handshake is the website where you'll find a lot of open opportunities. So engage with students, the Center for Career Engagement. They will guide you throughout the entire process. And if you have questions, come to us and we can get you connected as well. So what to know before you begin this fall? We encourage all students to have a solid payment plan. Figure out what that financial plan is for you for your academic year. Make sure you incorporate all of your tuitions and fees. Everything is due in full each semester. So talk to us if you have questions, concerns. We know that there's inflation, there are things happening, so we won't know what we don't know. So definitely reach out to us. We can work with you to figure that out. Again, if you're utilizing federal student aid, which is those two loans, we want you to make sure you complete all of your required steps to borrow the loans, okay? And so if you plan to use these loans and you want everything to disperse on time, you'll need to make sure that your master's promissory note is done, your entrance counseling is done. If you plan to use the Graduate Plus loan, that is an additional application. So make sure that you've completed, even if you don't plan to borrow, make sure everything is completed. Again, that is your master's promissory note. We call that an MPN, your entrance counseling for both loans, and then that additional application if you plan to use that Graduate Plus loan. And then once you're packaged, we will get that sent out to you. You'll be able to use your email and Woostel key to go into your Net Partner account and accept all the loans, decline all the loans, and make any adjustments that you need. That is where you have the ability to handle all of your aid. Again, you can accept it, you can decline it, you can make any kind of adjustments, decrease it. And if you have questions along the way, again, we're here to help you with that process. And then if you're using a 529 payment plan, student accounting, they are great with helping you get that set up, getting that connected and getting that landed on your account. If you plan to opt out of your health insurance, generally the deadline's around September 5th of every academic year. You'll have to complete that waiver. Again, Habit Health Center can help you with that process, but get that in so you can get that $2,500 off your account if you are already covered. And then notify our department again if you have any external funding coming in, whether it's in the summer or whether it's in the fall, let us know. We can help you get that applied and maybe send some loans back or even generate a refund for you as well. And then if you plan to receive a refund after your awards have been applied, The easiest way to get that is through setting up your direct deposit. Direct deposit is easy access. We approve, and that process is really smooth. And it goes directly to your personal bank account. If that is not set up or you do not have a bank account, we do have the ability to send out paper checks to the mailing address that we have on file. So that is an option for you as well. So again, if you have questions before classes start, let us know. I want to circle back towards federal loans and packaging. Please note that we still have not received all of the aid information for every student that has completed the application due to the FAFSA delay. But our goal is hopefully get that up and running and generated by the end of next week. So I would say in the next couple of weeks, keep an eye out for your financial aid package. Again, that package is going to include your institutional aid, federal loan option, any outside awards, and then if you're eligible for federal work study, all the steps and instructions will be within the package for you. If you do not plan to take out federal loans and you're maybe an international student and you're not eligible, please note that your admit letter from admissions will serve as your aid package. So bear with us. We appreciate everyone's patience. Again, this was all out of our control, and this was a situation that covered the entire country when it came to packaging students for undergrad and grad. And so we will get those out as soon as we can. And if you have questions about any of the process, we are here to help. All right, so I know we have our chat open. We may have some additional questions. Again, I'm Dominique Sandheinrich. I'm the Director of Student Financial Service. Here's my direct communication. And then I also have an assistant named Erica Jones, who will be back in the office here in a couple of weeks to be able to serve you as well. And so I guess we'll move on from there. Sarah Lucan, are you available?
I am available. We have a lot of questions that have been submitted in the Q&A that we've marked to answer live. And so we'll start with the first one. When am I informed about work study? And when would I start looking into that? How is it different than just having a part-time job?
Yeah, so work study, if you are eligible again for federal work study, that will be within your package. So when we get those delivered, you will know, and we will already package you with that. You'll be able to engage with the Career Center to find positions. I would say immediately when you get your package and you are eligible for federal work study, I would start looking into those positions. The difference between the two, between a part-time position on campus and federal work study, is federal work study is a part of your federal aid, and a portion of it's paid from federal aid, and a portion of it's paid from the department funds. And there is a cap on that. However, with part-time employment, that is between you and your employer. So you will get paid X amount of dollars, and that could be full academic year. You can also be paid more than what a federal work study position can pay out. So definitely be mindful of that. Again, some students who cannot find federal work study positions end up doing part-time work and vice versa. If they cannot find part-time, maybe research assistant or assistantships or anything maybe in a food service or the library, and they have to resort to that federal work study if they're eligible. So those are the differences. It's the way it's paid out, but there is a cap on federal work study versus just a standard part-time position.
Thanks, Dominique. That's super helpful. All right, the next question. If we get a lot of additional funding, like a large external scholarship, will that disqualify us or revoke WashU's funding?
So no, again, you can use those in combination. However, we want to inform you that there is a budget. And so your cost of attendance, so for instance, MSW cost of attendance, if you max out each semester of 37,225, we will have to send some of your external scholarship back. So you really want to be mindful. We don't want you to exceed your cost of attendance. Because then we'll have to send either some of that external scholarship back, or if you've taken out federal loans, we can send some of that loan money back in place of your external scholarship. So it's really on a personal basis, we can talk one-on-one about that, to kind of see what that looks like for you moving forward. But your Brown School Scholarship will always come first.
Super helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I know you just talked about, the delays with FAFSA. Can you let us know again, when can students expect the financial aid package?
Yeah, so I just had a meeting this past week and we're waiting on, there were some other errors in the process that generated another delay. And so what we're really looking at is hopefully getting started at the end of next week and really hammering down the following week of getting those sent out to every single student. Again, we are working with our continuing, or we call it returning students, and then our incoming students. So our ultimate goal is to get those to students in their email within the next couple of weeks. That is our goal, but again, it's out of our hands when we have the actual information into our systems. So I can tell you that as of right now, today, it is not there.
Thank you. The next question is the work study, and you kind of alluded to this a little bit when talking about the differences between part-time jobs and work study.
Mhm.
Is the $3,000 like federal work study that someone would receive on top of an hourly wage?
So it will depend. So go ahead and repeat that question again.
Yeah, the question was, is the $3,000 federal work study on top of an hourly wage?
So no, I would say, and if I'm understanding the question correctly, so you will, let me just say what it is. You will receive an hourly wage, and once you reach your max of federal work study funding, your federal work study will be cut off. And if your employer chooses to keep you on to pay you at that hourly rate through their department funds, that would be up to them. But once you cap out at 3,000, you are done with federal work study, and that federal work study is at the same hourly rate as any part-time position. It just depends on, once you reach it, do you get to continue with their department funds, or is that position now dissolved because they may have reached their funding mark as well? Versus a part-time job, you will always be at that hourly rate with that employer.
Thank you. And then there was just a question about why work study is beneficial. And, I can, kind of repeat a little bit of what you said.
Yeah.
This is funding that comes from, it's federal funding, so it does not come from the employer. So it's a benefit to the employer,
Yeah.
but then it's a benefit to you as well because you're getting paid from federal funding to complete work hours for an employer. Anything else you want to add to that, Dom?
No, I mean, I think you're spot on. And you have to remember that a lot of those part-time roles on campus, they fill up quickly because it's undergrad and graduate. So you have to be mindful that these positions fill up quickly. And so if you have the opportunity to do federal work study because you cannot find a part-time position, I encourage you definitely to take that on. And then a lot of federal work study positions, again, a lot of employers say you do great work, we want to keep you on and pay you through maybe another fund that they may have to support you. So it's you have to stay on it, and you have to really do your research. But I encourage students to try in both if they're eligible.
Yeah, and just to kind of add to that too, some departments don't have the funding to pay student workers, and so because funding can be limited, they can only employ federal work study students. So it's really a great benefit for them to be able to bring on student workers too.
Definitely. And they're very clear about, I can say several departments are very, very clear about if they have federal worksite positions or simply part-time roles. Yeah.
Another question. What is the MPN again?
The MPN is the Master's Promissory Note, and you can find that in studentaid.gov. Your Master's Promissory Note is something you'll sign that states, I acknowledge that I borrowed these federal loans and I promise to pay them back once I am finished with my program once you're finished with your program, essentially, you're telling federal student aid that I promise to do this and follow through with paying it back. And you'll need that for both loans. It would be for your federal direct unsubsidized loan, and your graduate plus loan requires a master's promissory note, which is again that MPN.
Thank you. When is the first tuition payment due?
So the first tuition payment due is August 18th, which lands on the Sunday. However, you can pay online. So there's several payment options that you can find on the WUSTL website, which is the university website. But August 18th is a Sunday. So I say August 19th is when tuition is generally, not generally, is due in full. However, if you're set up with a payment plan or you've spoken with my department about what that looks like for you, that could be flexible, but we really want to ensure that students hone in on the 18th and get that paid in full.
Thank you. This is a good question that I think I'll kind of expand upon too, wondering if they can keep a remote online full-time job instead of searching for on-campus positions. And the answer is yes, you can keep any job that you have. However, I think there's some, some advice or, caution that we would give to having a full-time job while you're a full-time student. And so just be wary of what you can take on in terms of working full-time while you are in the program full-time. It's a rigorous program, and it takes a lot of time and dedication. And so having a full-time job on top of doing school full-time can be really challenging. We understand that for some, it may need to be a necessity, and that is at your discretion if you can work with your employer around, your school hours, the hours that you need to be on campus for class, the hours that you need to be at your practicum site. There are a lot of things to consider when thinking about working full-time while you're in the program full-time.
I agree. I think that is where you really have to think about your balance and figuring out, is this, well, one, is the program for me, is it good for me right now? Does it fit my financial budget? Can I work full-time remotely and do my work in person? And so that, I think that is going to be between you and your employer and what you can handle, because we want to ensure that student prioritize their health and mental health as well. And taking on too much can definitely cause students to stress. And so I think if you can find a healthy balance, by all means, we know that things are expensive. People have families and bills, and life goes on beyond your degree. And so really just think about what that looks like, and having that maybe that conversation with your employer as well. So I agree with you, Sarah.
Thanks, Dom. There was a question in the chat, and I know we've kind of discussed this a little bit, but can you kind of reiterate or reconfirm the financial aid cap? Is that the total of tuition?
So we're talking about, yeah, so that is, when I say financial aid cap, I'm referring to cost of attendance. Okay. So what I want students to understand is that you have your tuition and fees, and then you have your cost of attendance, which encompasses tuition and fees, and then the additional amount of money that we estimate to cover living expenses. So we have some students who maybe live in the St. Louis area, maybe at home, who only need to worry about tuition and fees. And so they already have, everything else is taken care of, whatnot at home, but they're only focusing on tuition and fees. Well, we have some students who are coming from across the country, across the nation, who need that additional funding to support their living expenses. And that we have to cap on, because we don't want to have students borrowing too much. And we want to make sure that we stay within the structure of your financial future. So there is caps on both programs. And again, you can find that on our website. We have the breakdown that explains kind of our estimates on books, supplies, transportation, and any other additional fees, housing, rental, and personal miscellaneous items. We have it all broken down to what it could potentially cost to live here in the area. So that would be your cap in our system. But if you were to get other supports anywhere else that don't need to be a part of your financial aid budget, by all means. But we do have to have a cap somewhere. Yeah.
Right, yeah, and that is, yeah, it's just the cap on the federal loans. You
Yes.
can get funding from other sources, but
Absolutely. But
yep.
with everything combined, there's still that one budget there. That caps. Absolutely. Doesn't have to be federal loans.
I also wanted to mention too, because I know we had a lot of international students with us earlier this morning, and we have a few more on the session as well. The cost that you are required to show is going to be different than that cost of attendance number that is recorded there. So please be mindful of those numbers. They're slightly different. So just follow all the instructions for international students too.
Fees. Yes, yes. So tuition and fees are going to be the same. But again, up to that cost of attendance, like Sarah alluded to, it is slightly different. And so you can find that information, I know, on our website under Life at Brown.
Yep.
There are some financial resources there, and there's an international area that explains your budget and your numbers. And we want to make sure that everyone understands, that you acknowledge the fact that the program does come with a charge, and it is the expectation that it's the student's responsibility to pay for all of their tuition, all of their living expenses, and that is not a university support, but a student acknowledging their responsibility when they come. So be mindful of your financial budget moving forward. If this program is out of your budget, by all means, we understand. We want you to be successful in your financial future. And with our international students, be mindful of all your documents that you're signing, and that you are covering your living expenses and tuition and fees before you arrive here at the Brown School. Because again, we support you in your education, but you have to support yourself in financing that portion of it. And so we want to put that back on the student to make sure that you're acknowledging the responsibility of your tuition and fees for the service and education that you're getting. And we are here to help you talk through that and budget that out. But it is, again, the student's responsibility to pay for their tuition and fees and housing.
There was another question submitted in the Q&A. Will tuition go up next year?
Yes. Tuition goes up every academic year, roughly about 2%. So it's not too much of an increase, but be mindful that tuition does go up every year, as well as health and wellness fee and health insurance. So those are calculated by the university and not the Brown School. And the university provides us with those numbers, but they do increase every single academic year.
Great. Well, it doesn't look like there are any more questions in the Q&A at this moment.
Okay.
I know Megan has linked to the cost of attendance over in the chat, as well as the information for international students needing to show the affidavit of financial support. And lots of questions have been answered in the Q&A by both Megan and Shana, so thank you both.
Great. Thank you. Yes. Oh, did something else just pop in?
It did. Yeah, good question. Can you opt out of health insurance?
You can. So what I shared a little bit earlier is, if you are covered by your parents, or you have a different health insurance that meets the criteria of WashU's health insurance or requirement, you can opt out of that. So that can be waived. Again, that usually is handled through our Habif Health Center. And right now it's $2,500, but it may increase over the summer. So be mindful of the increase for health insurance, but you can opt out of that. And that ends around September 5th of every academic year. So there is a process, and you do have to show and prove your health insurance that you are covered under. But yes, you can opt out of your health insurance. The only two you cannot opt out of is health and wellness and your student activity fee.
I also want to note too that international students, you do have to get the student health insurance from the university. Am I correct in saying that, Dominique?
That is correct. Every international student does have to uphold our WashU health insurance, and then there's an additional fee of $5 as well that will be applied to your student account. Yes.
Ooh, more questions. Great. All right. What does the health and wellness fee cover? Good question.
So, as I shared earlier, the health and wellness fee covers, first of all, it's a university fee and not a Brown School fee. So, undergrad and graduate students are assessed the health and wellness fee, and this is to support programming across the campus. So, anytime we have any seminars, webinars, maybe any kind of festivals or booths, things that come to campus that are focused a lot around health and wellness. I know they have like people that come in and teach you about nutrition and ways to assist with mental health, any kind of speaker or food, all that is required, or excuse me, is paid through the health and wellness fee. And again, that's an undergrad and graduate fee. And our graduate students are welcome to participate in any of the programming across campus. And so that is where your health and wellness fee comes in. Again, that is assessed every each semester. And this year it's $636. So that will be divided in half across each semester.
Perfect. Thank you. Is it a requirement to present proof of funds in excess of your stated cost of attendance?
So for our international students, yes, that is 100% accurate. For our domestic students, no. However, we know that generally our domestic students have more options for funding, unfortunately. I mean, we are excited that they have it, but we really want to work with our international students and make sure that when they come here, they understand what they need to pay. And so I know the university and the government, everyone wants to see that you have the funding to support yourself when you're here. So you do most definitely have to prove that before coming to the Brown School. Our domestic students, generally, that is not required.
Great, thank you. Going back to the health and wellness fee, also wanted to mention that also covers things like your access to the Summers Rec Center, so exercise and other sorts of resources that the rec center has on campus. You get full access to the gym and classes, and then it also covers HABIF. So that's our on-campus health and wellness center.
It does cover, yeah, definitely. And depending on what your service is at HABIF, there may be some additional fees to that. But it overall, yes, it supports HABIF and the services that they provide to all of our students across campus.
All right. Another lull in the Q&A. Wait just a moment to see if any other questions come through. Okay, during showing proof of funding is one, I'm not sure if I understand this question. I'll say for this this question, wondering more about like what they need to show for proof of funding. If you want to reach out to us individually, I think we might be able to better help you with those questions. You'll want to look at, they want to know what proof of funds should be in excess of the cost of attendance. You don't have to show anything in excess, but it needs to be up to the cost of attendance for international students. If that's who's asking the question. I'm not sure if it's an international student or domestic student, but
yes. And with that, we can also kind of talk to you about budgeting for, the second year as well, because we can calculate what that could potentially be, but you'll need to show proof of funding for both academic years that you're at the program, or just your program, whatever your program is, you'll need to show proof of funding for those, most definitely. And you do not have access to your student portal yet. And yes, you have, unless, what you can correct me, Sarah, you have your email access in Wooster, and I don't think that's out yet. Is it?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question, Dom?
Yeah, students do not have access to their portals yet, but once they do, they'll have access with their Wooster email and their Wooster key.
Right, so you have, right now, what you have access to is the Washington University Graduate Admissions Portal, so you have access to that. But you won't get access to student portals for Washington University until you get your WashU credentials, that's correct.
Correct. Okay. Yeah. So hopefully, yeah, by the time you get your package, you'll be able to look at it, budget it, and then a little bit after that, you'll be able to gain access to your portal. Yeah. Any other questions that we have?
To access the graduate admissions portal, that is the portal that you applied to the program to. So all of your application materials that you submitted for the MSW program or the MSP, if you applied to the MPH program, you then also get access to the graduate admissions portal after you've submitted it through SOFAS. That's the graduate admissions portal. So that's what you'll log into to see information about your admission status and other information.
So I encourage students to take time and look through the website. We put that together for you guys to have easy access to see what those numbers look like, what resources we have, what supports are in place. Again, we have that cost of attendance breakdown for students. All the information that you need is definitely on our website. If you cannot find it, reach out to my department. We are more than happy to get the links to you, to have the conversation with you. That is what we're here for, and that is that is why we do it. We do it for the students, for those who are more visual, and if you need to have one-on-one to kind of understand what we're referring to, that is what we're here for as well. So do not hesitate to contact us directly. That is our job, is to make this part of your program easy, and to make sure you fully understand what it looks like for your financial future, because we understand that it is costly, but we want to make sure that you have the knowledge moving forward so you can make good and sound decisions for yourself.
Like we have someone raise their hand. If you're able to type your question into the Q&A, that would be preferred.
Yeah.
We'll wait just a moment.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Dom, for all that you've provided in this session. I know that there are so many questions about funding, and it's a big decision to
Yes.
decide to come to graduate school and invest in your education in this way. And so this was a lot of really helpful information that I hope
Oh.
answered a lot of questions for folks. I think
Absolutely.
Shana just posted a link to our Financing Your Education Guide, which is another really wonderful resource
Mhm.
and super helpful. But I think at this point we could probably sign off a few minutes early. So if you have other questions though, please reach out to us via
Yes.
brownadmissions@woostel.edu.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you, everyone. Definitely. Again, my name is Dominique Sanheinrich, Director of Student Financial Services. We are here to serve you and to help you better understand your financial future. So I look forward to meeting each and every one of you this fall. And I'm always available. My team's available for Zoom meetings. So just contact us and we're here to help. All right. You guys have a great weekend.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.